Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. My mission, the impeccable wisdom, knowing which everything is fully known. My discovery, Divyank, the divine design of nature, with which the perfect objects are designed and created. My selection and medical education. I was the first candidate selected for MBBS student studies from Jammu and Kashmir. I reached Chennai on August 1st, 1968 itself for admission. I had to wait for 1 month for my admission card. Finally, I was given admission to Chingalpet Medical College, which was a district hospital, and I was not very happy with it. And I wanted Madras Medical College. I requested the Director of Medical Education for admission to the Madras Medical College, and I gave him the petition and gave me the records. After reviewing my petition and an exemplary academic record, he allotted Madras Medical College. I am grateful to him because that has made a real difference in what I am today. Second thing which was important was educational loans. I was awarded a National Merit Scholarship of 110. The amount was not sufficient to meet my expenses. Hence, I had to apply for an education loan for extra money from the government of Jammu and Kashmir, and they sanctioned the amount. Later, I returned the full amount from my own earnings. But at that stage, I was made to understand that no one returns such loans. I'm surprised. A pathetic state of the mind of trained professionals. We should return money and then money can be used for other purposes. After getting my admission, the first college which was allotted was Loyola College, September 1968. Loyola College was one of the best science colleges in India, and we were allotted for pre-medical studies, which is equivalent to 12th standard. And I got a chance to master physics, chemistry, and biology through this course. Plus, I also had a chance to meet other specialists in maths and other subjects to discuss in detail about mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, and alternative systems, which could help me to understand medical sciences and other sciences much better. It was a great opportunity for 1 year. I am glad that I passed all the exams with distinction and double distinction could mean 100%. And the building, as you can see now, was a phenomenal, beautiful complex. Second college was Madras Medical College for MBBS studies, one of the oldest premier medical colleges in India. Here I mastered the perfect human anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, microbiology, pathology, pharmacology, preventive medicine, surgery, obstetric and gynecology, plus other alternative systems. I am glad that you can see anatomy department, the Red Fort. We had a chance to learn perfect anatomy for 1.5 years from great giants like Professor M.M. Cooper and Sarthak Adresan. And physiology, the right side, the Department of Physiology was another great department. Professor Padmanabhan, Professor Krishnamurthy, and Professor Namachoyam. They taught us the fundamentals of physiology very well. And the other departments were equally very, very forthright, I would say. We had professors and other things well learnt and ever willing to explain things in detail. As a result, we gathered all the theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge during 4.5 years there. At the same time, I'm glad I could maintain my excellent academic record. Thereby, I could maintain my National Merit Scholarship also. Great opportunity. Here I would like to talk about Madras Medical College Hostel, where 4 of us stayed in 2 rooms from 1969 to 73, even 74. I am glad that all the 4 of us were focused on academics and research only. We used the time effectively to make a group discussions, discuss in detail, and go into depth of all the medical subjects, which have helped me to understand concepts better and maybe take into spiritual sciences much better. I am glad all the 4 of us are doing extremely well in whatever field we have chosen. I am really thankful to my 3 friends for making sure that we all learned in detail and carry the wisdom for the rest of our lives. A small testimonial from my Professor A. Namachwayan, who was my teacher in Department of Physiology, plus he became my guide for Ph.D. work. He has known me for 4 decades. A testimonial from him speaks volumes I would like you to read at leisure. The Government General Hospital, Chennai, was one of the greatest training hospitals. We had patients from all over the world, and almost every patient could be seen there. It was full of activity all the time. 1 year internship, 1974, was a great opportunity for me to put all the theoretical knowledge which we had gained in 4.5 years to put into practice and master the art of surgery, medicine, gynecology, and preventive medicine in the process. The foundation was laid so well that the day I finished my house science, the very next day, I was appointed as a duty doctor in one of the hospitals, and we did extremely well thereafter. I wonder how many people, medical doctors these days, can do that. But thanks to Madras Medical College and General Hospital, we are trained to be great clinicians, healers, not technicians. Government General Hospital also had a tradition of ward parties that end of 3 months of postings. We would have a meeting where we will thank our teachers. This upper one is one of the pictures where Padma Shri Professor K. Ramachandra, Dean of General Hospital, is sitting, and me along with my friend Professor A.V. Srinivasan, a neuroscientist. We were really favorite, and I had learned medicine fundamentals from him during clinical subjects as well as during housemanship or internship. But one thing I like to put across, something which I learned from him, he emphasized quite a lot. As the patient walks up to your chamber, 80% of your darkness should be on your mind. In other words, we could give a final diagnosis looking at the patient itself without any doubt in your mind. If you still have a doubt, ask for the history and do the testing. Last investigation is left only for 10% if you still have a doubt. And I'm glad for 30 years of my practice because of training from people like Professor Ramachandra, we could prevent all the problems and diagnose all the cases just looking at the patient or listening to the history. This is something which is unheard of these days. Today everybody has become technician, and without investigation you can't even proceed. And we were not allowed to investigate unless until it's absolutely mandatory. Similarly, Dr. Kamakshi Kabir and Dr. Swarna Kumari taught me the art of gynecology, and all the fundamentals I understood from them. As a result, today I am able to talk of the perfect human menstrual cycle, keeping in mind Divyank sequence, and show what is the perfect model, not the one which is being taught throughout the world from school, college to the universities. This will be a very challenging concept as I proceed later to explain the whole thing in detail. Right side is a testimonial from Professor K. Ramachandra, where he has known me for so many years. He has given my recommendation for post-graduation and also talked quite a lot about my experience, knowledge, and otherwise. But I am happy that he has written that I have a unique and sterling qualities. Unusual. Here I am now giving a picture. You must be wondering why this picture of whom. This, as I have written in the beginning, I am a natural artist, and that is my advantage. I could draw perfect pictures without using any instrument, and this is an example of that. Just to show that I have done even after so many years, I could still do. But this picture also has something which I talk about Divyank, and I didn't realize I had done something like 50 years ago itself, something which I'm going to talk 50 years later. We will talk about it at a later date. Postgraduate studies, training, and practice. As I told you, soon after my graduation, I was offered a post of a duty doctor in Dr. Finney's Hospital, Tambram, and I'm glad that I could maintain the hospital's outpatient as well as inpatient without any difficulty. Meantime, I also started holistic family medical practice, which I ran for almost 30 years, 1975 to 2005. And I was literally seeing about 80 patients a day later. And my focus was always on holistic and preventive medicine. I'm glad that I've done extremely well. 75 also, since I was very good in anatomy, being an artist and meticulous dissections in Madras Medical College anatomy department had given me the confidence that I could be a good surgeon. So I chose to have residentship in general surgery to sharpen my techniques of operations, and it was very, very useful. And I'm glad that I also opted to be under Professor A.S. Ramakrishnan, who was known to be a bloodless surgeon. Whenever he used to operate, there will be least amount of bleeding. And observing him and trying to replicate that within my own operation techniques has helped me in general surgery and later in ENT surgery. While doing tonsillectomy, I could compete with the giants like other ENT surgeons and complete tonsillectomy lesser than them and without any bleeding, and the patient could be discharged by the evening itself. Then I went for post-graduation ENT surgery for 3 years. It was a great learning process, but I had opted for ENT surgery because I was suffering from nasal congestion and cold since my childhood, and all the treatment given to me was of no use at all. So I thought 3 years in ENT department I would get to understand the pathophysiology of cold and also find a permanent cure for myself. But unfortunately, 3 years everything was tried on me. Nothing worked. Since nothing worked, I couldn't understand why exactly I was suffering from sinus and there is no treatment. Then I decided if I can't treat myself, then I cannot really treat others. Then I opted out of ENT surgery and went to plastic surgery for another residentship to make sure that I can do operations without any bleeding and all the healing should be very fast. And I'm glad I proved it. But today when I look back, I do not have sinus problem. I do not have nasal congestion. Everything has been well taken care of. And what was thought to be a problem, actually I realized actually it was not a problem. It's a physiological process of my body to cope with the kind of pollution which we had there and the kind of food and the concentration on the brain part. That was the reason. Now that I understand, nasal congestion was because of my higher intelligence, more blood flow to the brain, and now I am able to counter that with just few herbs. And that is one thing which I would definitely like to share with other people, how we can. There are physiological processes which are considered to be pathetic or pathological, and I can tell you we can take care of all that without medicines, without anything, just by lifestyle changes. After resident internship, also I did research into pharmaceutical research and development program, quality control otherwise. The reason being, I wanted to help all my patients with the best quality medicines at the same time least amount of money, and started dispensing medicines. I found the quality was not very good. So after finishing my resident internship in plastic surgery, I thought let me spend about 6 months to 1 year to find out how the good quality medicines are manufactured and things can do. That's the time I spent time with Madras Medical College to understand their concepts, the way they were manufacturing. At the end of it, I found it was not at all difficult to manufacture good quality medicines with the least amount and give it to the poor and needy patients, and I'm happy that I've done that. Meantime, I also worked on alternative treatment healing techniques to make sure that my patients benefit. So every patient also became one of the reasons after 4 years in surgery, I also decided that I should rather concentrate on medicine because each patient can be a research subject and I could do much better than just doing the same repetitive operations or other things. And I'm glad that I took this decision, although I was a very good surgeon, but opted for just medicine for the sake of humanity. In 1979, I started, first was only development. From 1980, I started my own pharmaceutical company, Akhand Pharma, and ran it for 25 years. And I'm glad not even single product of Akhand Pharma failed in quality anywhere in the world. We maintained highest standard in manufacturing and quality on the whole. But at the same time, I have put a logo here which I designed in 1980 for Akhand Pharma. And when I look at this today, there's so much depth, wisdom in this symbol, which I like to, with one complete video, I'll explain that. And it represents Divyank ratio and research concept like retort. We'll talk about it a little later. Now, this is the standard center, is a Greek symbol of medicine, staff of Hermes. I have improvised the same symbol, keeping in mind the ancient Indian wisdom of Tantra Vidya, subtle anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and psychology, and gross anatomy, physiology of modern medicine, put them together and explain the role of endocrine system and autonomic nervous system in maintaining all the physiological functions subconsciously, unconsciously, so that we can make use of rest of the time optimizing our potentials and maybe even spiritual science research, etc. And there is much more information in this which we'll be discussing later. Anyway, it has been a quite enlightening process, and thank you very much for listening and encouraging. Thank you very much.